The main topic we wanted to talk to you about, and I'm so fascinated by your story, and I'm really excited to hear it. Was the death of WCW, and what spurred it on, and the reason why I'm even thinking to bring it up is because just that's the wrong one. Just yesterday, yeah, that was a story. That's a story for later. So just 2 days ago. It was announced that The Rock is coming out with a docu-series made by the guys who do Dark Side of the Ring, and it's gonna be called "Who Killed WCW." And I quote tweeted the story, and I said, "Eric Bischoff killed WCW." There, I solved it. And a lot of people took offense to that. Eric Bischoff has a troll army, and they were coming
No.
after me a little bit, yeah. And so a lot of people agreed, and then other people were like, insulting me, calling me names, which is fine. I'm 41, I can handle that. Um, and then there were some people like trying to have like an honest discussion, an honest debate. They were like, well, look, Bischoff played a part in it, but Vince Russo did no favors, and then of course Jamie Kellner is the one that ultimately killed it. I'm gonna get Shadow's thoughts, but I'd like to I want to get JD. I wanted to go ahead and get you first, really quick. In your opinion, who killed WCW?
I don't think there's one person you could put the blame on. I think there's a collection of people. Like, I love your tweet because I think at the end of the day, Eric Bischoff is the guy most responsible because he was the leader of the ship. Like, right? The captain goes
Yeah.
down with the ship and he refused to go down with the ship. So, I mean, like, it's kind of like the Titanic. There's a lot of factors that went into that boat sinking. But at the end of the day, the captain goes down with the ship. So that's kind of my thought. I mean, like, what is that phrase? Success has one master. How's it? Success has one
So,
master. How does that go, Mike?
yeah. Success has a thousand fathers, but failure is an orphan, right?
Yeah, there you
So
go.
it's a lot of people pointing fingers and passing the buck. Um, but Shadow mate, you lived it. You were friends with a lot of the guys in WCW. You were covering it every week. What do you think? What ultimately led to the demise of WCW?
Like JD said, there's a lot of factors. And yeah, overall, you point on the finger when there's one person to point at, and that's the person in charge, and that's Eric Bischoff. I met Bischoff. I've interviewed Bischoff. He was a cool guy. Um, I will say it is the key to it is the way he criticizes AEW now is the criticism that he got back then,
Mm.
and he did not listen. But one's failures can be rectified by one trying to help someone salvage what they have. Bischoff didn't listen on a lot of levels. He listened to a lot of the workers and on a lot of the guys in the backstage. And I've been using this phrase a lot lately when describing AEW, which is the inmates are running the asylum. And I think that was the biggest problem. And it was not, who's the guy you said, the writer dude that ran WCW was writing?
Vince Russo.
Russo. It wasn't Vince Russo. Vince Russo came in and he had some great ideas at one moment, but it wasn't him that did it. Vince Russo just became an idiot and he was just running around throwing stuff against the wall and just trying to see what sticks. And then they were allowing him to do all this random dumb stuff. But at that point, it was like it was too little, too late, bro. But when it comes to like the initial point was. You look at Hogan, you look at Nash, you look at all those guys that were on top, the NWO, all that stuff. When it was huge, it was big, it was booming, it was great. One of the things that was started it, that put the crack in it, was the Hogan Sting match. You
Thank
build
you.
that match for an
Thank
entire year. Sting does not wrestle, Sting does not talk, Sting does not do anything. And then, which I've heard many stories, and I've interviewed Hogan before. Hey Hogan, look, this is it. Sting's got to go over. Well, let me tell you something, brother. We're gonna have to do it this way, bro. You put this guy over clean. Roman Reigns just put over Cody Rhodes, bro. With all of the stuff that went along with it, which was great, was fantastic. A lot of shocks, surprises, and everything. Hogan's situation was the same. You had all these things and run-ins and everything else, whatever and stuff. But at the end of the day, bro, you put him over clean, and he didn't do it. That was the point where it was like, yo, the entire fan base invested an entire year into one of the biggest match in wrestling history, and you did not put him over clean. That was the beginning of the end at that point. But the key to the rest of it is this: WWE at that time, they paced themselves. They knew that the ratings were dropping, but they paced themselves and they did one thing. And since then, they have continued to do it till today. Build new stars. If you don't build new stars, your company is not going to last. WCW, ECW, TNA, all of the companies in the past can't stand up to WWE. Why? Because they built new stars. The NXT level is on a whole nother level because what they're doing is they're establishing, they're building, they're growing the future. Now, when it came to WCW, I'll tell you a quick story if I can. Just a quick.
Oh yeah.
You probably remember me promoting it like crazy. The World Wrestling Peace Festival.
Yes.
The World Wrestling Peace Festival we did in Los Angeles, and it was a situation to where I got a call from I forget Sakaguchi. Sakaguchi was running the LA Sports Center in Los Angeles, and I think Jesse had called me to go talk to him. And I said, okay, what's up? And then he was like, oh, we want to do something big, something great, something wrestling. I said, okay, cool, fantastic. What do you want to do? United. I said, okay, what do you need from me? So he wanted me to pitch to Antonio Inoki. So you had Inoki, senators, delegates, ambassadors, all coming to Los Angeles, and I had to pitch to them at the LAX. And I got all my papers and everything about WCW, Hulk Hogan. I said, things are booming. Wrestling is getting ready to take off. And I pitched it to him. Inoki said, I love it. I want to do it. So it was set. Of course, they brought in my guy, Bob Cortego, who kind of started to put together the match. But I basically pitched the World Wrestling Peace Festival and brought it together. Now, here was the idea, the concept of the reason why I'm telling the story. In that, it was supposed to be WWE, AAA, and WCW, all coming together, one united front, one big show. And, of course, WWE kind of backed out at the end. But it was this. The names on the cards that were put on it were the future of wrestling. Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, what's his name? Eddie Guerrero, a lot of the AAA guys, a lot of these guys. And guess what this show was? It was an audition to WCW. Because after the World Wrestling Peace Festival, all these guys came on board to WCW. Then guess what? Everybody was starting to see their dream matches. It was like, oh my God, this is awesome. WCW was on a rise. But the problem is Bischoff was one-minded. Cruiserweight title, that's as far as they go. Why? Because Kevin Nash told him that they're too short. And look, Kevin Nash goes on online and stuff, and he criticizes a lot of people and everything and stuff. And at some points, can I cuss?
Yeah.
At some point, you got to tell this dude, you know what? Sometimes you need to just shut the fuck up, because a lot of the stuff that Kevin Nash is saying now is the same thing like Bischoff. It's like, you guys are talking about stuff that now people can fix, and that's great and everything. But at the end of the day, it comes back to this. Nash, you were the asshole that almost ruined what basically he ruined Bret Hart's career. He almost ruined Rey Mysterio's career. This guy was like hurting a lot of people. And it was because his arrogance, his cockiness, he's 7 foot tall, whatever, and all that good stuff and stuff. He couldn't get beyond himself. So there was never a point in WCW where they said Benoit could be world champion. Jericho could be world champion. Eddie Guerrero could be world champion. Or Rey Mysterio could be world champion. But guess what? When they got bought out and they came to WWE, what happened? Benoit, world champion. Jericho, world champion. Mysterio, world champion. You know, Eddie Guerrero, world champion. And those were one of the biggest moments in wrestling history. And that was one of the reasons why WWE came back on top. But it was because WCW never built new stars. And I'm talking about guys like, you see where Cody Rhodes is? That's a star. That's a superstar. I guess you call the title a superstar. And if you think about any other group, what is the name? TNA, same thing happened to them. Jeff Jarrett got in the way. He couldn't get out of his way. Dixie Carter got too involved on television. And what happened to TNA? It went down. They're on YouTube now, wherever it is. And stuff. People keep telling me, watch it. I watched it, and guess what I see? It's like these guys are in this. It's not even good as NXT, honestly. You know, hey, no, look, no beef on Tommy Dreamer. He's doing a good job and everything. He's the booker for him and everything. But like, come on, man. You know, they're not the third choice right now. You know, they're like the kind of the third choice. They're not the second choice. So when it comes to WCW, at the end of the day, it just comes down to this: it's Bischoff's fault because he didn't see the vision of like, you gave us dream matches, but you didn't give us superstars. You made the guys that were superstars, making your stars look good in the ring, but you never elevated them to world champions. That was a problem. And the biggest beef you could even think about is like, you try to appease us when you gave Booker T the title. Too late. You know, there's a lot of things that went wrong with WCW, man. My man DDP, good friend of mine. We did San Diego Comic Con. We shut Comic Con down. DDP can tell you a lot of things and stuff where it's like there was trials and error. DDP did one thing that I think a lot of things that Bischoff should have listened to a long time ago. All of these guys he wanted to work with. Why? Because he knew he was going to have a 5-star match. Why DDP at the age 40-something got into the ring and started wrestling and had 5-star matches? Because he was wrestling the Jerichos and the Benoits and all of those guys back then, man. They weren't just considered jobbers to him. They were like workers that like were like here. So yeah, I could go on and on, man. But like, yeah, like I agree with you on just the fact that Bischoff ruined things. Hogan, he kicked it off. Nash, he tried to bury every guy that was not over 6 feet tall. You know, it was a lot of things. Scott Hall didn't care. He was cool, you know. And then look, Scott Hall, good. Larry Zbyszko. Scott Hall took on Louis Spicolli, and he wanted to build him. He was about to have his biggest match ever against Larry Zbyszko, and he passed away. Was like going to be a moment where, hey, we could kind of break that ceiling and get to that next level in WCW, but you know that didn't happen. But yeah, there's a lot of things, man. You can name a lot of moments where you know, like when they created, people say bring back the cruiserweight title. I say no, don't. You know, I think there are people that can break that ceiling that are under 6 feet tall, and then there's people that just can't. You know what I mean? Those are the mid-carders, and it is what it is. So yeah, some of my thoughts.
Man, Shadow was on fire there.
Yes, he was.
I can't wait to clip the part where he just says, "Kevin Nash, shut the fuck up."
Oh, that's like the best. I was like, I love this man. I get it now. I didn't hear him growing up, and I regret it. Like, this is great.
Well, he couldn't cuss back in the day because he was on like a public radio. FCC controlled that. So now we got the Shadow Unleashed.